So today I'll be presenting on how you can build reproducible ML experiments and how you can version your models and data and the code with it. My name is Punit. I've been working with ThoughtWorks from past 4 years now. Let's get started. So before we understand how how experiments in ML projects are tracked, we'll first we'll first compare software versus machine learning project. What are the differences? What are the nuances we have to handle? And once we understand that, we can get into how we can build reproducible ML workflows. And once we set up ML workflow, we can conduct multiple experiments and compare results of each experiments and say this is the best model, and how we'll also understand how we can compare multiple experiments. And in the end, we'll end with a comparison between DVC and Git. So to get started, this is a typical workflow looks like in software project lifecycle. So you plan for the feature or decide on the sprint plan, then you code for it. You build the dependencies, test the features, release and deploy. And once it's in production, you monitor, optimize some things, and you get feedback from users. And again, you start the cycle of planning the next feature and next release. So if you see between different verticals, the code that you write will be going from one environment to another. And it's very important that you should be able to version your code so that once, say, the new version of the product is released, but there was a bug, you want to go back to previous version, you should be able to switch between versions. So in typical software project, you should be able to version your code. You should be able to version your uh, deployables like packages or Docker containers, so that you can switch between multiple versions and deliver whatever features the client requires. And if you see in each vertical, there are multiple tools, and this is taken from Densify.com. This is how a typical software project looks like. And sorry. So let's compare how ML project looks like. So if you see in ML projects, there is 3 dimensions which you have to take care of. So you have the code and also the model and the data which you have to handle. If you see, the first stage is building the model. Then you evaluate the model and you decide on which is the production ready model. You do a final round of testing and do the deployment. Once the model is in production, you observe the model's performance, track its metrics, and collect the data from the production environment, and that will be fed as new training data to the model building exercise, and you continue the cycle. So in model building exercise, you have training code, training data, and the output is candidate models. This will be given to model evaluation and experimentation. And again, you test with multiple data, see different metrics, and choose a model that you wrap around production ready code and make it productionizable. Then you have testing for sanity, and once that is done, the model will be deployed. And you have this application code that does your business logic. And finally, you have production data which is monitored, and that will be fed again as new training data. And again, the life cycle continues. So if you compare both software life cycle and ML project, you have other 2 dimensions like model and data that you have to be able to version. So without versioning model and data, if you always keep building the model, you may not get reproducible results, and you may not understand why certain models are performing bad or something. You have to be able to compare multiple experiments and models. So now that you understood how software delivery project and ML projects are uh, comparable, and what are the other two dimensions in ML projects to be handled, we understand the need of version control. So if you see artifacts in both the projects, most of the time it's code for which you have version control as Git. For packages, there are multiple package managers. If it's a Docker container, you have Docker Hub or registry to build your image and version it. For data and model, what is there? So if I'm going too fast or something, please let me know. I'll go ahead. Okay, so we have to understand how we can version our data and models so that we can reproduce the experiments and get the same results or similar results. So for that, we have data version control, that is DVC. So this quote is taken from their website. DVC is built to make ML models shareable, reproducible. It is designed to handle large files, data sets, machine learning models, and metrics as well as code. So DVC is built keeping in mind the machine learning use cases, and it can handle large files and data sets, uh, and you can track metrics so that you can compare different experiments, compare the metrics or accuracy scores, and decide which model you want to deploy. So when it comes to other alternate solutions to DVC, like there are Git large files and other stuff, but for Git large file system, you need to have a hosted version of Git large file, and even with Git large file, for a given project, you can't go beyond 2 GB space, or some space limit is there. But DVC is very lightweight compared to other tools. So it's just a pip install library. You can pip install and get started with that. It can work with any storage system, storage like S3, Google Cloud, and all. So So this is I call DVC Universe. So these are a list of features that it provides. It's compatible with Git. So once you start versioning the data or the model with DVC, it produces a metadata file called .dvc file, which you can commit so that anyone who lands on that commit can download the appropriate version of your model or the data. It's storage agnostic. As I said, it can work with Amazon S3, Microsoft Azure Blob Storage, HDFS, SFTP, HTTP file system. It's reproducible, so it versions both data, the code that it generates, the model and the code that it generated with, so that you can rerun the experiment and reproduce the similar results. We'll go through how you can build and define DVC pipeline to achieve reproducible results. There is a demo after this. So low friction branching. So in Git, when you work with code, you can go to any previous version of the release, check out to that commit and start modifying the features. Similarly, you can check out to any experiments that your coworker or you have developed. You can tune certain parameters and publish new experiments. It's very frictionless branching system is there. So as I said, DVC is built with keeping in mind the data science use cases. So it has custom commands to track metrics, and you can compare multiple experiments. As I said, you can define your ML pipeline framework and publish new experiments. So in typical model building exercise, you have different stages where the data goes through and finally the model, trained model comes out. So you start with data, you split that into training and testing data. Then you do some feature engineering and extract features. And on those extracted features, you fit a model, and finally the trained model comes out. So these are the four stages that typically occurs in machine learning projects. Then, as I said, just like Git, it's also language and framework agnostic. So you can have any language project like Python, R, or anything. It need not be just data science training or anything specific. You can have high HDFS Apache Spark jobs defined in pipeline stages of DVC so that even those can be made reproducible. So as you can say, it can track failure. So since it's tracking metrics, you can understand which experiment failed, and you can debug why, and maybe fine tune certain parameters to get a better model. So I know it's a lot to take in. Like it has a way lot more features than this, and we'll understand how to use this with a demo. So in this demo, we'll build a simple ML solution of multi-class classification. We'll train 3 different models and combine them as a single ensemble model to get a better, stronger model. In the process, we'll version control the data and model with the DVC. When you compare multiple experiments, you can go to different experiments, make them reproduce the same, and fine tune certain parameters or something. And yeah, there is a platform called DAXUp where you can visualize multiple experiments, compare the results. So I'll get on to demo. If there are any questions, let me know. Anyone can stop the. So this is the repository which has the data, and we'll end up building the machine learning solution here. So in the end of this demo, you will end up building a DVC pipeline which looks like this. So you start with the iris dataset, you split them into train and test data. You do feature engineering and extract features you want to train on. You train 3 different models: logistic regression model, linear SVC model, and random forest. And then you combine these 3 models into a single ensemble model. So the steps looks like this. Given a data, you do train test flip, then feature engineering, train 3 models, and finally combine them as an ensemble model. So you define stages one by one and build a DAG, and in the end, it looks like a pipeline. Okay. So to get an overview of what you end up doing, so this is the data set which has like, this is pretty small, but for the demo purpose, I kept it this much only. You can see that there are 150 rows of data and 4 features that are there, and this is the final class you want to predict based on these 4 feature values. That class are 0, 1, and 2. So it's a multi-class classification problem. So just to experiment, you first you read the data. You can see that there are 150 rows and 5 columns. Last column is the label. You do train test split. Uh, you make sure that I've kept the test size to 20%, so that you have 120 training samples and 30 test samples. You train on 120 rows and test on last 30. This sampling is done randomly. Uh, just to explore, I was starting with a logistic regression model. Uh, uh, you find the score of the model on training set and test set. You can see that the accuracy on training set was 99% and test set was 86%. Uh, you can print what are the coefficients with which each features are weighted. If you add them up, you can get weightage for each feature. So you can see that feature last two feature had more weight compared to first two features. That kind of signifies that uh, it's enough that you keep only two features to train the model. Other two features are not so important. So for feature engineering, you can use PCA. It's a decomposition method. From 4 features, you reduce it to 2 features, number of components equal to 2. Then use there is a explained variance ratio. So if you consider the total variance in the data set is 100, you can say that first component captured 92% of it, next component captured 5. So it's able to reproduce same data set back from only saving 2 components. So if you plot with only 2 components, it looks like this. You can see that you can have a clear decision boundary here and here, and with keeping only 2 components, you are not losing much data. So after that, you train logistic regression model, then you train random forest model. Similarly, you train linear SVC model. And in the end, you create a ensemble model, which is a voting classifier. And you say if either of two are predicting one thing, vote for that. In the end, you get ensemble model of all three, which is giving test accuracy of 86 and training accuracy of 97. So if you plot the decision boundaries of all 4 models, this is where you can compare how each models are performing. So logistic regression is uh, giving 2 decision boundaries, and if the points are falling in this region, it classifies as class 0, class 1, class 2. Similarly, linear SVC, and if you see random forest is doing something like this. And finally, when you do an ensemble of all 3 models, it comes up to like this. You can do better with more training and more fine tuning of the parameters, but I just wanted to show you one simple workflow of building 3 models and ensembling them in the end. This is how the final decision boundary of the ensemble model looks like. Is there any question, or can I move ahead? Okay. So if So just like Git, to start with DVC, you initialize DVC in the project repo. So to do that, you say DVC init. It will start a DVC repo in your project directory. If you see that .dvc folder got created, and just like .git will be there in a Git project. With Git, you add remotes to track your uh, GitHub repository and all. So similarly, you can add remotes to DVC. DVC remote add local. So syntax is remote add name and URL. So I'll add local remote with the folder as temp DVC session demo. If you see in the project now, you can see there is this config file got created, which has remote name and location it is pointing to. It is similar to what Git does. So if you see .git /config, even it has same syntax. So you have dax sub as my remote, which is pointing to this URL, and similarly there is other branch or other tags in this rep. Similarly, you can add multiple remotes to DVC. To get started with your model versioning and pipeline, first you start with versioning the data. So if you see this iris.csv, this is untracked by Git. You have to start tracking this with DVC. You can do that by DVC add, just like Git, add iris.csv. So it says it has created this iris.csv.dvc file. You can see what is the content of that. So this is the metadata file that a DVC creates, which you can commit with Git, so that anyone who checks out to this commit can load that particular version of the data. So if you see, it says the path is iris.csv, and the MD5 hash of the file is 7FAF something. So if you see in .dvc folder, there is cache folder inside which it stores the different version of the files. First two letters act as a folder name 7F, and the rest of them acts as the name of the file. So the file is here actually, and based on file size, it is smart enough to create a reference link or symbolic link or copy into the project directory. So if you have, let's say, 1 GB file here, it won't be copied to here. It will just be ref linked to this file, so that your project won't bloat up in size. So this is actually similar to how Git handles Git objects. If you see this objects folder, currently there is no objects. So yeah, you can see there are multiple commits, and each commit has their own folders like this. And yeah, multiple files are there. So Git and DVC are very similar in that manner. Okay, so now that you have added iris.csv into DVC, it has created this metadata file which you have to commit to the Git. So you can do that by git add data iris.csv, git commit, save data into DVC. Okay. Okay, now that you have versioned your data into DVC, people can check out to your commit and load this data. But currently, as you see, uh, this data file is still in this cache folder, which is not synced with, say, remote storage, so that people can download it from there. For that, you can add remote storage like Google Cloud or Google Drive or anything. I will be adding Google Drive, my folder. So this local flag is to say that I don't want to commit this config into DVC, into Git. So you can see that config.local got created, where you have Google Drive remote pointing to this folder in my Google Drive. I'll show you. So it's pointing to DVC session demo, which doesn't have anything right now. I can push to this remote just like we do DVC git push. Command is just DVC push pointing to remote Google Drive remote. So yeah, it asks you to do authentication. Once you do it, and for future step, it will work seamlessly. So now you can see that data.iris CSV got pushed. You can see status with respect to Google Drive remote. It checks if local cache folder and that remote is in sync. It says everything is up to date. So if you open Google Drive, you can see that 7F folder got created in which there is this iris.csv file. So yeah, now you have versioned your data. Next step is to define a stage of pipeline where you split the data into training and testing. So if you see, I have train test split.py, which reads the data and splits and keeps in the folder data/split. So if you see, there is no split folder yet. If I run this, it should create that. So for that, I'll be running this command. So it prints some stats, like there were totally 150 rows and 5 columns. After split, train has 120 rows and 5 columns, and test has 30 rows, 5 columns. Class wise, if you see, number of samples in total were 50 for class 0, class 1, and class 2. To keep the balance between train and test set, we have used something called stratified sampling. Based on class weight, it makes sure that train and test set have equal weightage of both classes. I mean, in this case, 3 classes. So in training set, you have 40, 40, 40, and in test set, you have 10, 10, 10. So if you open this data folder now, you have split where you have test.csv and train.csv. Still, if you see, there are 4 features, and last column is class. You want to reduce the number of features to 2 and fit your model. So for that, you have something called PCA, or feature engineering, that you do with PCA. Before that, I'll say define the stage in DVC. For that, you just have to use DVC run command. So when you say DVC run, I'm defining a stage called split.dvc. It should depend on iris.csv file. it should depend on the code file called train test split.py, and the output of the stage should be saved in data/split. So I can execute this, and now it has created a stage file called split.dvc, and dvc is asking us to save this stage file into git. We can do that by doing. So if you want, we'll see split.dvc file. So in defining any stage, you first start with what is the command that this stage will run. As I showed, this command is splitting the data into train and test split. And for each stage, you define what is the dependency. So data/iris.csv and train test split.py. So what's the advantage of defining this dependency is that if either of code that gets executed in this stage changes, or if you change the source data itself, it says this stage needs to be rerun again. So yeah, and in the end you say data/split is the output and cache is true. That means the output of this stage is also cached inside dvc. So if you see, this is kind of ignored by git, and if you see in dvc cache folder, other folders related to this has been created, like cc7cd, like cc7cd. Now the output is getting tracked in dvc. So yeah, we are yet to commit this stage file so that others can reproduce the same stage. So define split stage in dvc. So after that, you can push to DAGSub. So DAGSub is kind of a Git repository itself, but it is kind of closely integrated with DVC, so that it understands what are the stage files, what are the files that getting tracked by DVCs, and it shows you a kind of visualization over your repo. So in this repo, I'm pushing whatever changes I've done. So if you see, you started with iris.csv, you used train test split.py to create a split of train and test. So this is a current state of your DVC pipeline. And in the end, you kind of go further, do feature engineering, three different model, and combine them as an ensemble. So we have finished this much yet now. Okay. So yeah, so now you are done with data and train test split. Now you do feature extraction. For that you have PCA, feature engineering code. So PCA is also kind of a model that you would want to save, so that in future for prediction you can again use the same model to reduce the number of features and predict. So for that, I'm saying PCA number of components equal to 2. I'll fit on training data and transform both training and test data. You get transform, train, and test features, and then you finally save it in features folder. You save the model in data/model/PCA. So stage 2, define featureize.dvc. You can run this command to do that. So you are now defining the second stage of the pipeline. You say that dependency is the split folder which previous stage has generated. You say this is the code dependency. Output is features that it generates, and it is also generating model gzip file, which is PCA, and some parameters and metrics for that model. So once you run this command, it shows some stats. So again, the explained variance ratio is same 92 and 5%. DVC says that it has created a featureize.dvc file, which you have to commit. And if you look into that featureize.dvc, again, the dependency is data/split, dependency on the code, and these are the 4 outputs that it generates. Model.gzip is the zip of the model. Params.yaml is parameters that is used to run this stage. Metrics is metrics of the model. And finally, data/features is the features that you have to train the model on. So if you see train.csv, you have reduced the number of features from 4 to 2, first feature, second feature, and the classification. Similarly, you have applied feature engineering on the test data. So if you see, these are kind of in green color, that means it's ignored by Git, but it is tracked by DVC. So okay, now you can sync your local cache with Google Drive by doing DVC push Google Drive remote. So every time you do experiments and commit to Git, you have to do this to sync your DVC remote. People may forget this, so DVC has provided us with Git hooks that I alerts people if you are forgetting to push or something. So currently, if you see hooks, I don't have any hooks installed. Let me install hooks that DVC provides. So now if I see hooks folder, it has installed pre-checkout, pre-commit, and pre-push hooks. So before committing, it runs DVC status command to see if any data files or pipelines has to be rerun. And if when I do git push, it runs DVC push command so that even the local cache and DVC are in sync. You can so it was asking for which was the default remote I should be using. So I said Google Drive is my default remote, just like you do with Git. Now it syncs with Google Drive and then pushes the code to Git. So now if you see in the Daxer, let me refresh this. So you can see that there is a first experiment that you have done, which is you have built a PCA model with number of components as 2, and these are the metrics that is generated by it. Okay, this is the updated view of the pipeline. So now you have come till here. You have done feature engineering. Now we'll quickly train 3 models and do a ensemble in the end. Okay. This is to train logistic regression model. Again, as GC instructs, we'll add these files to track. Okay. So, yeah. I wanted to show one output of this. This is the command that it runs. So if you see, it is printing what is the model accuracy. It's 90%, and it's generating a confusion matrix. So out of 10, it has classified all 10 in the test data accurately, but 9 out of 10 and 8 out of 10 accurately. It has missed 2 and 1 here. So out of 30, it has identified 10 plus 9 plus 8, like 27. So that's why accuracy is 0.9. And if I So when I push to DAXUP, it's first pushing the model to Google Drive, and once model is pushed, now it's pushing to GitHub. So if you open DAXUP, you can see the experiments are coming up. So you have trained logistic regression model and accuracy score is 0.9. And for each commit, it kind of shows as experiment tab here. So you can go to that commit and see, check out to that commit and modify any experiments you want. Okay, so current stage of pipeline looks like this.
Puneet, I have a question here.
Yeah.
So after you push to the DAGS hub, is the experiment being run on the DAGS hub again?
No.
So whatever you have locally run, that information is propagating to DAGS hub.
Yeah.
And DAGS hub is just showing the experiment.
Yeah.
Result.
So yeah. Please continue.
Is that it?
Yes. So yeah, I'll explain how DAXUP is able to track experiments. So when you define a stage called train logistic regression, I've said that output of this stage is model.gzip file and params.yaml and metrics.csv. So if you open this models logistic, you have metrics.csv and params.yaml. So parameters are parameters which you use to, these are hyperparameters used by your model, and metrics are the ones that says accuracy is this much, confusion matrix was this much. So based on this params.yaml and metrics.csv, DAXUP is able to identify for this experiment what were the parameters, what were the accuracy of scores. So if you open the columns, yeah, you can see that these are the parameters and these are the metrics. You can choose which one you want to compare, and compare the results here. Was that clear? Okay, I'll move on then. Okay, so before we um, train other two models like uh, linear SVC or random forest, let's do one more experiment with logistic regression. So if you open logistic regression, so currently the hyperparameters that we have used is penalty equal to L2. There are other hyperparameters like intercept or fit intercept. I'll say fit intercept to be false, and log that as my hyperparameter. So for doing this, I'll check out to new branch called experiment fit logistic experiment. Okay. Now in this branch, I'll run the stage again. To run the stage, you can use this reproduce command and pass the stage file that you want to run. So it will reproduce the, it will run the command defined by that stage and reproduce the results. So it says new metrics and model has been published. You can add it to this branch so that anyone who can check out to this branch can see the results of your model. And if you see the confusion matrix, it the performance actually degraded. Earlier the model accuracy was 90%, now it's 80. I'll still save into different branch, but I won't merge this into master branch. I'll be pushing it to logistic experiment. So if you see now, this new model is also getting synced with Google Drive, so that people can see this model also and experiment later. So if I go to experiments tab now, earlier there were 3 experiments. It should be coming. I'm not sure why it's not coming. But yeah, if you see, okay, I forgot to commit. Now you can see 4 experiments are there, and go to corners, fit intercept, and you can filter on the values. So this was the experiment that I ran on different branch, and you can see the accuracy score has been reduced to 0.8. So you can choose multiple experiments and compare to see side by side view. So here it shows list of parameters for this experiment, list of parameters for this experiment. So when I say fit intercept true, the accuracy was 0.9, but with the false, it's 0.8. So you can have multiple data scientists collaborating together, and you can compare results from each and select which you want to productionize. So if you see this blue experiment had better accuracy score than orange one. Okay. I'll check out the master now. Please stop me and ask questions if you are not understanding or following. Similarly, you can fit other two models. As best practice, it's required that you keep each experiment in different commit, but I'm doing multiple models in one commit. Yeah, just for the demo. And you finally run the strain ensemble, which combines all the three models into single model. So if you see, the dependency is on both logistic model gzip, SVC model gzip, and random forest model gzip. So this is the final confusion matrix that it generates, and model accuracy is now better with 93%. Now git push. Now this will also invoke DVC push to Google Drive. Now see, currently random forest got pushed. Now an ensemble model and SVC model. So all the models are now available for anyone to consume. So if you go to here, so in the fifth experiment, I have trained all the models, but you can have different commits for each models. That's the best practice. You can finally have this is the final this is the final accuracy, and if I say accuracy greater than 0.9, this is the best model. So I can select this model label as best. So yeah. Now if you see the DVC file project, it looks like this. Yeah, it may be a lot to consume, but let me explain. So you start with the iris dataset. You use train test split and create a split, and then you do feature engineering. You save the PCA model, and this produces features, train features and test features. You use this to train random forest, logistic regression, and linear SVC model. Each produces its own metrics and model. So if you see random forest metrics, you can see that the accuracy was 0.9, confusion matrix is this. If you see logistic regression, matrix was 0.9, confusion matrix was this. And if you see linear SVC, this has better accuracy score of 9.93. And when you combine them together on an ensemble, it also produces uh, model.gz. This is what you finally consume, and the matrix is 93, and this is the confusion matrix. So this is how you can define one end-to-end ML flow, and so now so currently this is how the DVC pipeline is looking like. If say training code for SVC changed, only that stage has to run, and the dependent stage is ensemble, which it has to run. So uh, all the previous stage won't be run, and it will be uh, taken from cache. I can show you that. So I'll change the random forest code. I'll change number of estimators from 10 to 20. And now, just like you do Git status, you can do DVC status to see what all things have to be changed. So if you see now, train forest stage is no more a valid state. There is a modified dependency called random forest.py. So you can say DVC reproduce train random forest. So it will run this stage and produces a new model for random forest. If you see the status, the new model that has been generated by random forest is the dependency for train ensemble, and only that stage has to be reproduced. So I'll say DVC reproduce. So even this stage will be reproduced, and new model scores and metrics will be produced. So earlier you can see that the ensemble model had a better accuracy than this 0.9, right? So yeah, and So once the push is successful, you can see this new experiment coming also. So experiment 6 came, and if you see the final accuracy dropped from 0.93 to 0.9. Yeah, you can compare to see better results. So yeah, 0.93 to 0.9. So you can keep best tag to older experiment, and maybe you can discard this like that. So this is how you can keep experimenting, changing the hyperparameter, publishing the new model. If you go to experiment tab, you can see that this is the best model. You can go to that commit and use that model for production. So this is how you kind of define an ML pipeline end to end, and change parameters or code, publish new experiment, compare experiment, and select the best model to reproductionize. Okay. Before I move into slides, if there is any questions or demo part, you can ask.
Puneet, Ravi has some questions on the Q&A, I think.
Okay. Okay. Looking at several DVC files, how do I know should I where should a user start for reproducing the results for this machine? So yeah, when you say DVC status, it kind of tells which pipeline or which stage has to be reproduced. So for example, if I change code for ensemble model, say I added a new line or something, status, if you see now, it says only the ensemble thing has changed. You have to reproduce that. I will git checkout dot. Now, if you say this status, everything is up to date. For example, now if I change the data set itself, so I added a new row and say one. So now data set is at the root of this project, right? So the first stage itself has changed. So all other stages which are kind of dependent on this needs to be reproduced. So you can see DVC status again, which will show that split.dvc has to be reproduced because data iris.cvc changed. And after you run DVC split, you will understand that feature should be reproduced. Similarly, all other future stages. Did that answer your question? Will the DVC call dependent models when the dependencies files are missing? When the dependency files are missing, how can a dependency file be missing? I didn't understand. Ravi? Okay. Srini has another question. DVC is ThoughtWorks own framework. No, it's a open source library. Anyone can contribute to it. Anyone can use it. Okay. I'll go to slides then. There are no more questions. So we understood how we can control version control data and models with DVC, how we can define a stage, go on adding stage as upstream and downstream to DVC pipeline, and create a final DAG. How you can go to previous experiment, reproduce that, and change hyperparameters to publish new experiment. And you also saw how you can compare multiple experiments together and label which one is your best. Yeah, so in the demo also I've shown comparison between Git and DVC. So there is also Git ignore, similarly DVC ignore is also there. So you can, it also follows the same patterns that Git ignore follows. As Git, you have multiple remotes you can add. Similarly, you can add multiple remotes for DVC. If you see, DVC stores the object in cache folder, but Git stores in objects folder. It's also language agnostic. There are commands which are influenced by Git, like init, config, status, add, commit, push. I can go on. It's mostly the same concept that DVC has inherited from Git. So this is one example folders. This is .git folder where objects are stored inside object folder. Here it's stored in cache folder. Here also you have config where remote information is stored. Similarly, you have config. So what is this repo is open source. You can clone and run your own pipelines, modify this to suit your data set, publish and compare multiple experiments to publish final model. You can go to user guide to understand what other features DVC has, how we can use them. Commands, what other commands DVC has. So this presentation was influenced by many blogs like continuous delivery for machine learning, TD4ML. This is present in Martin Fowler's. Collaboration issues with DVC. DVC is evolving pretty fast. It is releasing new features day by day. DAGSub, this is where we push our DVC experiments to compare. Remote training of models with GitLab CI. So currently, if you see, these models are pretty small and I could train it in my laptop. But with the more complex data and huge data set, you won't be able to run training jobs in your laptop. In such cases, there is one blog post which talks about how you can spin up EC2 machines, schedule your jobs there and save as DVC experiment. This is that blog. And yeah, this is DVC is present in our technology radar from 2018. Now it's in trial state. So it's better for us to develop this capability and start using in the Solve project. And yeah, that's it. You can follow me at GitHub and LinkedIn.